hope it works. We're all learning this technology together, even a few weeks into school. But so I have one question for you guys to start with is just to share a little bit about your institution, and that can include the size, the location, different programs, different things about the culture there, and a little bit about the admissions timeline, as well as any big changes that have happened due to the pandemic. So I'll let you guys go in whichever order you prefer.
All right, let's not waste any more time than delayed earlier. So I will go ahead and get started. So hello, everyone. My name is Gladys. I am with St. Olaf. And we're a small private liberal arts college in Northfield, Minnesota. So we're about 45 minutes south of Minneapolis and St. Paul. If I want to get to Burnsville to go to Costco, it takes me 30 minutes. So really not that far, as you might think. In terms of what the liberal arts means for us, you will have a really interdisciplinary education. So you won't come in with having a major declared unless you want to apply to music or nursing directly. You don't have to if you don't want to, but those are the only two majors that have that you can directly apply to as an incoming student. About a third of our students double major. So again, academics really flexible. 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio, and then I think 15 to 17 is more of a true median for our class sizes. We are affiliated with the Lutheran Church, but only 18% of our students are Lutheran versus 40% of our students claim to be irreligious or have no religious affiliation. So we really do have a breadth of identities, whether they're faith-based or identity-based on our campus. In terms of the application process this year, we have 2 different deadlines, but 4 different application rounds, so hang on with me. The 2 deadlines are November 15th and January 15th. Early Decision 1 and Early Action are November 15th. They do have different notification deadlines. In terms of the the January 15th deadline, is for our second early decision round and our regular decision round. Unless it's one of the first 3, one of the early decision or the early action, you won't know any sooner. So for example, students who are thinking about regular decision, take your time with your application, because if you submit it tomorrow or if you submit it the day before the deadline, you will not hear back before March 15th. We are test optional, so that's the last thing I'll mention for St. Olaf. We've been working really hard to make that a possibility for us. And it's something we are going to keep long-standing. So I won't talk anymore to give the other reps a chance to speak, but thank you all for having me today.
All right, I'll go. I'm going to call on the next person so we don't have to delay. So Erica, be ready to go after me, okay? Thank you for having me back out this year. I was here last year in person. My name is Devin Ross. I'm the Director of Admissions over at Augsburg University. Augsburg University, if you're not familiar with us, is a small private liberal arts university not too far from where you are at this point in time. We're over on Riverside Avenue and Interstate 94. Our enrollment right now is about 2,100 students in our traditional undergraduate program. It's been growing the last couple of years. The last 2 years, we had the first and second largest classes we've had in the history of the institution. So we're very thankful for that, especially given the COVID situation that we're all in right now. We have an application deadline of December 1st for our early Augies, but it's rolling admissions. And so if you apply after December 1st, that's totally fine. But if you apply before December 1st, you get about $2,000 just for submitting your application prior to December 1. We are also test optional, but I just also want to be really clear, if you haven't taken the test, most institutions are going to probably be test optional for this year, I would imagine. And so from Augsburg's perspective, and I don't want to speak for the other counselors, but if it's not safe for you to go ahead and take that exam and risk exposure, please don't do that. we don't want you to be taking the ACT. It's anxiety ridden enough, not to mention the fact that you could be risking exposure to the virus. And so, you know, if your ACT time has gotten canceled and they're rescheduling you and pushing you back, please don't worry about it. We are test optional. It is not a wink wink test optional where you have to have the test anyways. It is a true test optional and you won't be disadvantaged. And I would guess probably most of the institutions here will have a similar sort of perspective. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
All right, I think I'm next if I remember correctly. So my name's Erica. I use she, her pronouns. I am an admissions counselor and manager of diversity recruitment at the University of St. Thomas and also our 2-year Doherty Family College as well. So I'll kind of talk really quickly about both programs, but for St. Thomas's 4-year program, our main campus is located in St. Paul. So right here in the Twin Cities, we are more of a medium-sized liberal arts school. So we are the largest private school in the state of Minnesota. So we have an undergraduate enrollment of about 6,200 students. If you look at that combined with our graduate students, we have around 10,000 students at St. Thomas. So that makes us the largest private school in the state, but we really do pride ourselves on small class sizes, similarly to the other 2 schools that have just spoken before me. Average class size at St. Thomas is right around 21 students. We have over 150 different majors and minors for students to choose from. So some of our top 5 biggest majors, business is really popular, engineering, the health sciences, if you're looking to go into the medical field. Also, let's see, psychology is another really popular one. So those are kind of some of the things that we are known for. And then also communications and journalism, I should mention. So that's kind of our top 5, but like I said, over 150 majors and minors to choose from. As far as our admissions timeline goes, we have a couple different ones, not to throw more dates at all of you. I know that this is a lot, but for St. Thomas, we have 2 different timelines. We have early action and regular decision. So essentially, all that early action means is if you apply early, you get your admissions decision from us earlier. So it's really easy. It's no strings attached. So I would always encourage students, if you're looking to apply to St. Thomas, applying on that early action timeline is a great way to go. And that deadline is November 1st. So if you apply by November 1st, you'll hear back from us by about December 15th. If you miss that early action deadline, it's no problem. We have a regular decision deadline as well, and that is going to be January. So if you apply by January 15th, you'll hear back from us by February 15th. We are also test optional. So that is something that we had actually been working on about a year ago. So way before COVID was even a thing. And we are really proud of that and really excited for that because we know that that test score is not always the best representation of who you are as a student. And so we want to make sure, like all of the other schools have said, we want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to put your best foot forward on your application. And for a lot of students, that might mean your transcript and having us look over your grades for your full high school career. And then really quickly, the Doherty Family College also is a 2-year option that St. Thomas has. So it's a 2-year program for students who are looking to get additional academic support and financial support in those first 2 years of college. So it's offered at a very, very reduced price. Most students pay somewhere around between $1,000 and $3,000 each year to attend the program. It's a commuter-based program, so all of your classes would be on our downtown Minneapolis campus. We're going to give you a lot of support in terms of tutoring, mentoring, all kinds of things like that. You'll be taking strictly your general classes, and all of those general classes will transfer to a 4-year institution after you graduate from the Doherty Family College. So I know I've taken up quite a bit of time, but happy to answer any questions that anyone has about that.
And then I think Deanna is next.
Hi, everyone. If no one can hear me, can you all hear me? I'm sorry, it's
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. It's moving a little slow, so it's still saying that it's muted. So, hi, my name is Deanna. She, her, hers pronouns. I am an admissions counselor, and I am the coordinator of African and African American recruitment at the University of Minnesota. And we have a couple of deadlines this year when it pertains to the application process. So our first early action deadline is November 1st, and you will hear a decision back by January 31st. But I also like to note, especially since November 1st is coming up, that if you are interested in our nursing program, that is the only deadline. So if you want to be reviewed for the nursing program, you have to turn everything in by November 1st. We also have a second early action deadline is December 1st, and you'll hear something by February 15th. And our regular deadline is January 1st, and you'll receive a decision by March 31st. We also still accept applications after that, but you are not guaranteed a decision by March 31st. It's more on a rolling admissions situation at that point. Something about the University of Minnesota is that it is a very large institution, and you're able to get that college feel with also having access to the city, since we're right downtown, and it causes great connections and networking opportunities, which is really cool for students. We have over 900 organizations on campus, so students have that access to find whatever group that they're a part of and find people who are just like them or have similar interests as them. We also have different programs for students. Our President's Emerging Scholars Program, which helps students with their transition from high school to college. We know that sometimes that can be hard for students, so that's really cool. And there's scholarship opportunities awarded with that. Also, when students apply to the University of Minnesota, you're automatically reviewed for our honors program and for scholarships. There are other scholarships you can apply for on top of the scholarships that we review on, but that's something that you do not have to do immediately. We have a lot of majors and minors at the institution, so there are a lot of opportunities to find that niche or whatever your interests are. You can find whatever you need to do, and there's a lot of opportunities for that as well. So I think that's it. I don't know if there's someone next or if I need to pick someone.
Thank you. I will ask just the next question, and maybe we can just go in the same order again. But you talked about a lot of different deadlines and different things that you are all looking at. What this year is going to really help students to stand out, especially for those schools that maybe have switched away from the testing option? What are other things you're really going to be looking at?
Yeah, if I can jump in first. So really, as Erica shared, test option is something we've looked at extensively for a long time, because a student can have a great test score, but it's not going to be representative of your success at St. Olaf, and that's been true for a long time. So when I am reviewing applications and when my team's reviewing applications, we're also really paying attention to your writing. So when I am speaking with students, they're incredibly nervous of what that component is going to be. It doesn't have to be the most perfect piece of writing by any means. We really try to emphasize that it's meant to be representative of you. Probably one of my most memorable essays is someone writing about their family's Christmas traditions. Now, don't take that example right to heart, but just to really emphasize, there are other ways in which, for us, we can see who you are, your values, how you would fit into the institution, and all of that is incredibly important, specifically for a school like St. Olaf, where we are smaller, we're community-oriented, we're very residential, and we just have a very different perspective in terms of the students that we're looking for and that could thrive on our campus. We're definitely not a luggage college where students go home on the weekends or go home at the end of the day. So knowing which institution you're applying to and what you want to communicate to them is really important when considering your essay as well.
Well, so there's a number of different things, but really just because of COVID, the benefit to have a history of academic success hasn't changed. So, I mean, that's going to be the most critical piece. And so, as a history major, I was a history major at Augsburg, And I always say that I'll take 4 years of strong academic success over 4 hours on a Saturday, right? In which you're so nervous that you're not going to do quite as well. Okay. So first thing would be a history of academic success in the 5 core areas of study: English, math, science, social science, and language. I'd also say that things that will set you apart, because we try and look at the entire student, is leadership. What kinds of things might you have done before COVID, or what are some things that you've done as a result of COVID? Those are really going to be some unique opportunities for some students to demonstrate what they've done when they've been in an adverse situation like COVID. So I'm excited to read these essays, and I've seen a number of them already, and they're pretty amazing. And so don't hesitate to write about what you've done in COVID. I would say academic curiosity is something that we're looking for as well. And then I'm a big fan of just self-awareness. If you have academic issues in your past, to be able to be aware of them and self-aware and be able to address those goes a long way to giving us a sense that, okay, I know that I made a mistake, or I had a bad grade, or whatever it might be. This is how I'm going to move forward. So self-awareness is really critical. But ultimately, keep in mind that academic intelligence is kind of like beauty. It's subjective, right? So we're trying to find that thing for each individual student that we can use to help us admit them.
I would definitely second what you just said there, Devin, about that self-awareness being a really important thing. I think that sometimes students are afraid to draw attention to certain areas of their transcript. Like if you had one quarter or one trimester or semester where you stumbled a bit, I think sometimes people just don't want to talk about it because they don't want us to notice it. We're going to see it because we do a really deep dive into your transcript. So we're going to see it. And I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we would all rather have you address that somewhere and let us know, if you're comfortable sharing with us what happened that caused those struggles. I think that's always helpful, but also kind of giving us information about how you picked yourself up after that, and how you improved, how you persevered, whether you set some kind of a study plan in place, or you went and talked to one of your teachers or something like that. Anything that can kind of show that self-awareness, I think, is great. And then also I would say that in the times of COVID, where I think involvement outside of school can be a little bit different, just because sports are getting canceled and you may not have the opportunities to be a part of the clubs and the different teams, things like that you might normally be at school. So I would encourage you to kind of expand your thinking on what it means to be involved. So what I mean by that is, for example, at St. Thomas, when you're filling out our application, we ask you what types of things you're involved in outside of school. And our students list everything from athletics to leadership opportunities to National Honor Society, but they also are listing things like their after-school jobs. If you're working an after-school job, that shows us that you have those leadership capabilities and that you are busy doing things outside of school. If you go home after school and you're taking care of your siblings for a few hours a day, that's also something that we love to see on applications. So don't feel like you have to stay confined to kind of just those more traditional sort of involvement opportunities. We want to see anything and everything that you're doing outside of school. Deanna,
Sorry.
I think you're up.
Is it working now?
Yep, you're good. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why it keeps lagging like this. So when we look at applications, we do a holistic review. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention earlier that we are test optional as well. So if you choose to show us your ACT or SAT score, we will look at it. But if you do not want to, or you aren't able to take the test, that is perfectly fine as well. Since we do the holistic review, we just look at everything else from grades, the type of classes that you've taken, extracurricular activities. We also look at if you feel comfortable sharing your extenuating circumstances, we will take that into consideration as well. If you have internships or community service and things like that, we definitely look at those things. I would just also like to say too, though, that when it comes to like coursework and things like that, we know that every school does not offer the same type of classes. So we definitely take that into consideration as well. We're looking at the student in relation to their high school, not necessarily compared to every student in the state or in the country. We're looking at all of those different things.
Thank you. I have other questions, but I did want to see if anyone else who's here in the session has questions that they would like to ask. And if so, you could either unmute yourself to ask a question, or you could type it in the chat. Okay, well, I will let you guys think on that for a minute, and I'll go to another question. During the time right now that a lot of schooling is happening online, what types of things are you doing in terms of students visiting your schools or getting together with you as people who are doing the admissions process? What does that look like?
Hey, can you repeat part of that question, Kelsey? So you mentioned what sorts of, it was kind of a combined question there.
Yeah,
so you
sorry.
said, what are we doing in terms of, I guess, bringing St. Olaf to students virtually? And then what was the second portion?
Yes. Well, just thinking of MEA is coming up, and that's often a time when students and families are either traveling to visit schools. You're all locals, so you're not too far away. You know, do you have events happening in person on campus, or is everything happening virtual?
Great. Okay, great question. So we do have driving tours available for students and families that are interested. You must register online if you are planning on doing that, because we do have a process where your family would receive like a printed pass for you to put on your dashboard. Otherwise, you will be asked by security to leave campus. So do not come to campus and just try to roam around. As some of us have kind of emphasized in the call, we are still trying to be safe. And I will speak specifically for St. Olaf. We do have students on campus. We've worked really hard to make sure that students can have class in person. Some of them are online, of course, but all of our students, if not most of our students, are on campus. So please do not endanger them. And I will emphasize that a million times during this call if needed. But that is going to be available. We will have fall like virtual programming kind of in place of like you say MEA week that we normally have. So if you want to get connected for that specifically, definitely fill out the Google form I put in the chat, because that is coming up really quickly. But there will be additional like student panels and professor connections available. We do offer those opportunities even when it's not that specific kind of fall opening virtual connection week. So if you want to look at that, our virtual visit experience website has one-on-one connections, virtual student tours with a current student, etc. So pretty much all of our offerings, but virtually, you can find those online as well.
I guess we're going to go in the same order. I was going to change it up there and have Erica go first. But maybe next time, Erica, will do that. We'll change it up a little bit. So Augsburg, we're offering 2 in-person tours of campus, but we are not offering counselor visits face-to-face. And so you can set up those counselor visits virtually anytime. But you can also come and do a tour of campus and then sit in our office and have a visit with a counselor via camera, via Zoom. We are going to have virtual events on MEA, so one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We are going to try and keep them as short as possible because we know Zoom fatigue is a real thing. And so it'll probably be no more than an hour and a half at a time that we try and set those types of visits up. We'll do counselor corners like a couple times a week. And then we have a virtual tour. And so you can check out campus. There's videos and pictures and things like that through our virtual tour. I'm guessing most of us have something like that as well. And then we have a peer-to-peer interactive app called Zeme, in which students can download to their phone and then communicate and talk with fellow students who may be interested in Augsburg. Also, we'll do events through that application with counselors. So we'll do like a question and answer, a Q&A sort of session with counselors live and do video responses. With that, they'll do fun speed friending and scavenger hunts through the application as well. So you can connect with your peers in that respect. So.
As for St. Thomas, it's very similar to the other schools. I'm just going to kind of pop a link really quick into the chat in case anybody wants to see that. But the different visit options that we have, we're doing our best to offer very similar options, both in person and virtually, depending on kind of your comfort, things like that. Obviously, safety is our #1 priority as well. So we have in-person counselor visits that we're doing, so just one-on-one with one of our admissions counselors, or you can do those virtually also over Zoom. We do have in-person campus tours. It would be a personalized tour, so we keep those groups really small. It would be just you and the tour guide. We also have the virtual tour option as well. We also just started what we call our self-guided tour, which is just where you download an app onto your phone, and then you can kind of walk around campus. It takes you on a little walking route, and it tells you a little bit about what you're seeing and what buildings you're walking by and all kinds of things like that. So that's a great way to come to campus while also having kind of that minimal contact with others. But yeah, feel free to check out that link, and that'll kind of give you the most up-to-date options of what we have.
Hi, at the University of Minnesota, we have a couple of different options. So we aren't doing like in-person counseling and things like that, but you can set up a time with us on Zoom or Google Hangouts, and we'll just have the same meeting as we would in office, just through the computers. We also have events that are going on at the university for different majors and for different colleges within the university, so you can learn more about them. We also have some cultural events that we have for students, and we're doing application workshops as well. We also are trying to still reach out to as many schools as we can to do virtual visits so they can learn about the school, or if they have questions about the application. On our website, we also have virtual tours. I will link that once I'm done talking, and it's really cool because you can see all 3 campuses, and there's a personal guide, there's just a regular video you can do, and we also have printable self-guided tours. So if you want to come in campus and just kind of look around, you can do that as well.
Thank you all for answering that. I know we just have a few more minutes here before we're going to transition to our next session, but I'm wondering if anyone else, we had one question in the chat for Erica, and she answered that, but if anyone else has any questions that they want to ask out loud or in the chat, feel free. Otherwise, what is the best way to connect with you right now? Would that be just going to your website, through email?
Is it helpful if we, oh, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I was just going to say, and I'm not sure if everyone, depending on how they're viewing this session, if they're seeing the chat and, not everyone might have the same views. So in case people want, there are the admissions counselors are posting different links, and there may be contact information in the chat. We will also be recording this. So if you can't click on a link right now, you can always come back, and we'll have this available online as well for everyone. I guess since we have 2 minutes left, any last questions anyone wants to ask out loud, or any last minute things you guys really want to feel like shouting out to everyone? Well, I thank you all so much for coming. I know, like Devin mentioned, Zoom fatigue is real and it's late in the evening, so we really appreciate you all coming here tonight. And we'll make sure that they get your contact info and these links to look at later, other people who weren't able to attend today. But thank you all. I'm going to post in here a link to, if you need to know where to go to find the next site. It doesn't start until 7:35. Hopefully, if we work through some of our technical kinks. But just so you're aware, there are a number of additional sessions that you can go to right now.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Yes, thank you guys.
When you see the link for St. Olaf's admissions officer, you will not see my face. You will see a very different face in that link. But I was covering for one of my fellow peers, and so the link that I put in there is correct for students from South High who need to connect with St. Olaf.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
You too.